Thanks, Chad and Rhea. You know, a grain of sand all by itself isn't worth much. It's basically just eroded rock. Now, if you get it together with a few 100 billion of its closest friends, though, you have the making of a memorable destination. Well, right now I'm just north of Idaho Falls at one place where each grain of sand does its part to create a memorable destination.
Highway 20 heads out of Idaho Falls on its way north toward Yellowstone. Along the way, you come upon the small town of St. Anthony, home of over 10,000 acres of white quartz sand rippling toward the horizon. Many of the dunes stand 500 feet above the valley below, blown by incessant winds that have shaped this destination into the hot spot of camping and exploration that it is today.
I think the dunes offer an experience unlike any other. The dunes, the kids get to play on their toys in the sand and the adults get to play on their toys in the sand, and it kind of brings the child out in everybody. I equate it to owning your own roller coaster. I tell people when you have a UTV or an ATV or something, you can play in the sand, you make your own tracks, you make your own roller coaster every day. And every day you wake up in the morning, it's a different roller coaster, it's a different playground. So I think the kids love it just from the perspective of they could be playing on a toy one moment, the next minute they could be throwing a frisbee in the sand or even digging in the sand and building a sandcastle.
Granulated architecture aside, St. Anthony Sand Dunes offers many of the features you'd expect from a massive collection of rolling earthen mounds. The sand becomes the perfect raceway for riders in need of the wind in their hair and a bit of altitude in their jumps. Paddle tires plow through the dunes and give visitors the chance to climb like lizards in the Sahara, stopping at the edge of each precipice to gauge the drop-off before continuing down the backside of the shifting grains. While St. Anthony offers a lot of what you would expect, it also has a few things you wouldn't. Here, the barren sand is broken up by water, as Egan Lake creates an oasis among the knolls and a spattering of green along the monochromatic hills of brownish yellow. Nestled among the trees is one of the primary camping spots of the area, Sand Hills Resort. Ernie Belair showed me around the surprisingly verdant retreat and gave a few insights on what makes a trip to St. Anthony so special.
Well, we have an ideal location for a family to come. It's a great camping location and we're kind of centrally located in some really cool spots in Idaho. You can leave from here, you can spend a couple of days on the sand, you can leave from here to go to Yellowstone, you can leave from here for a 20-minute trip over to Bear World, you can head on over to Jackson Hole. So we're a really kind of a more destination location for people to come and spend a couple of weeks on the sand.
And that is exactly what a lot of families do, returning year after year, decade after decade, to share the adventures with their friends, then their children, and finally, with their grandchildren.
What I've seen is it's generational. From the 1970s to today, we have the same families coming out. And they remember the family experience they had from that time period to now. So I think they bring their kids out and they get to experience what they enjoyed as kids. They get to have their kids experience that same feeling. So I think it's generational.
Connections between generations are hard to find in our regular day-to-day, but in places like St. Anthony, they grow and strengthen like wild roses that need no tending. Thrills are as easy to find as smiles, and the potential for even more fun is literally on the doorstep.
Call in advance or check on our website, sandhillsresortrv.com. You'll be able to go on there and there's a link on our website that'll link you to a rental company and they can have a UTV sitting on your site. So if you rent a campsite, you can show up, you can have a UTV or some ATVs sitting on your campsite ready to play. People come out here and say, oh, it's all about the sand, it's all about we got to get out there, we got to ride. But I'll tell you what, the most enjoyable part of the day is when we get over here and we set up a projector for movie night for the kids. That's my favorite part of the day, is everybody coming together and enjoying the campground.
A single grain of sand can't do a whole lot on its own. You need to bring a whole bunch together for adventure to really be possible. And our families are kind of the same way. We're always going to have more fun when we're united in one place. Now, St. Anthony Sand Dunes is really easy to find. We're just 40 miles north of Idaho Falls on Highway 40. And if you've ever wanted to experience an adventure like this, the invitation is open to you. Well, I'm Stephen Heumann for At Your Leisure. We need to take a commercial break, but when we come back, more outdoor adventure.